Guys, welcome to another episode of RevitInteriors, and this time we'll be looking at the rustic woven lamp. So there's been a series of rustic woven lamps throughout, but we can't find a model, so let's create one. So the first thing I'm going to do is open a casework family, not necessarily a lightwork family for now. And I'm just going to scale the image between the constraints of the front view, just so we can get the generic shape of what we want to model. Make sure to get that shape correct, or like sort of scale it. So I really like really big pendants, so that's probably about 600 diameter or 600 height. It's really dependent on the design. Then we're going to open a modify sweep. And with that, you're going to use the spline tool. And that tool really allows you to create any sort of curve that you want. And it really just is more mendable towards more organic shapes. So that's the first thing we're going to do. And then we're just going to make sure that we hit the curves that we want. And also remember that you're more than welcome to edit the shape as you go along. If something doesn't work, remember that you can always start from the beginning and take it from there. So don't worry. Also, another thing, I just wanted to ask you guys, please like and subscribe these videos. I would really love that and appreciate that. I'd like to get more content out to you guys. And please feel free to let me know down in the comments below what kind of content you'd like to see, what content you don't really need, and I'll be more than happy to help. Great. So usually when you go into your 3D view, like I said, this is a trial and error sort of situation. It depends. Some people can draw this with a revolve tool and just add a texture. I prefer this because it gives more texture to the actual lamp itself. So I'm just going to show you an option that doesn't work. So the spline tool is a tricky one. Sometimes it doesn't pick up and it gives you a pop-up that something is incorrect or it's not working. So again, don't lose hope. Just go back to your front view and we're just gonna take a deep breath and try again. So we're gonna use the sweep tool again. We're gonna sketch a path, the same path. I think with the sweep tool, it really likes linear, not linear, but like a continuous shape. It doesn't really like it if you bend it downwards or upwards too far from the main shape. So just stay cognizant of that. Great, so let's just have that shape, just a straight profile of it, and it looks something like this. And then we are going to select profile. We're going to edit the profile. So in that, you're just going to draw in the dashed green space. So I'm thinking a wicker like spine is probably about 1 millimeter or 2. So whatever you want, you put in for that. And there you go. We've got one of those made. So we're going to edit this a bit later, but that's one of the wicker fibers, I would say. And it's okay to keep it at this distance. I know most of the times in Revit, if we've got too many objects that are, for example, arrayed, it makes the file a bit heavy. But if you really need that extra detail and you are working in just interior views for the time being, then I think it should be fine. Great. And then we're going to go to our reference plane. And what we're going to do is really just create the constraints of what we want. So we're going to take the circle tool and look, we have 600 diameter. So your diameter, your radius is going to be 300. We're going to just make sure we get that good and type that in. Fantastic. And another way that you move tools or move things in Revit, you don't just drag and drop. So the shortcut for this is MV, and that is move. You click on the object, MV, and it's going to move it left or right, wherever you want it to be. And then we're going to find the midpoint. That's going to be the diameter, and that is 600. And this is going to be necessary because we're going to CO, which is copy the one element that we've drawn, which is the spline tool, the fiber of the wicker. And we're going to carry that to the middle, or to the edge. But before that, just delete your main spline that you've drawn. We don't need that anymore because it's difficult to copy over a first fixed modeled in place element. So MV again, and we're going to copy the corner and move it to the edge of our 600 diameter circle. Then we're going to click on it again. But before that, we're going to move the center point. We're going to make sure it's clicked on group and associate and grouped on the radius. And we're going to put that in the middle of the circle. We're going to put a number. Let's start off with 100 or 20. And that's what we get. That's what it's going to look like. And then you just keep going. Usually Revit does give you a pop-up for how many of these at this distance it will keep. So I'm just gonna go adding, but I see that it does give you a pop-up. Like eventually it will give you a number that you cannot go over in this radius constraint. So to put a line over like this, the 300 diameter line that we have, I press LI, and now LI stands for just line tool, and that's very good to have like a line. It gives you a line in 3D as well. So remember that is very important if you want just guidelines for yourself. Great, and then just go into 3D, and it looks like we have a shape going, you guys. Looks very, very good. So don't worry too much, and especially if you're gonna use this for a render, you just gotta click on it once or twice. And then sort of see and gauge if that's what you want. You can go back to your front view if you want, and just look if that's what you want. I think the shape is pretty spot on. It's safe for us to move on. And then you can go to your front view, and yeah, it looks quite good actually. And click on one of them. As we've grouped and associated them, now we can edit each one simultaneously. We don't have to click in each and every single group. So you're gonna click on one, and you're gonna click on edit group. And we're gonna click on the one fiber. Gonna go down to material, and we're gonna edit material by category. So this just means that, oh, my category moved to the side. Apologies for that, but we're gonna create a sort of wooden wicker material for this element, and that's just to give you the appearance of like a natural fiber. That's pretty much the deal with that. So once that's loaded, I'll show you guys a bit later in 3D, but it's pretty good. Also, just let me know down in the comments below if you need more assistance on adding materials. I have a video on adding mirror materials to objects in Revit. I know that's a really sought after sort of ask for Revit because it is a bit tricky, but there is a way to do it, as well as lighting materials. So just let me know down in the comments below if you need me to explore that a bit more. Great, so it does take a bit of time for everything to load. Just have a bit of patience. And again, this is dependent on the kind of computer that you have. It might be a bit faster, might be a bit slower. Revit definitely does not like arraying. But if you've got another method that you have tried and tested before to draw natural wicker lamps in Revit, please do let me know down in the comments section below, and we'll be more than willing to explore that as well. Great, so now we just turn our graphics display to realistic, and as you can see, we've got our lamp going, you guys, so pretty excited for that. And we are just going to see what that looks like in front view. I think we're pretty spot on. We're pretty good. So this is another tip. If you're working on a view and it looks too dense, please feel free to go down to the bottom and change the scale, and you can change your graphics view to fine as well, if that helps. What we're going to do now is we're going to pick the diameter tool, and we're going to make a sweep of the rim underneath, and we want it to be a bit circular as well. I would say probably about 2 or 3 millimeters thick, just to sort of ground the pendant as well. So again, just go down to your green dashed cross, and that's where you're going to draw the profile. So that sweep tool, you can sweep around anything, really. I really love this tool. It is very organic and allows you to create designs that are not rigid, especially in Revit. That's pretty difficult to do, but the sweep tool, anything is possible. Great, you selected, and you're going to copy, because I mentioned it's very difficult to move something that you've modeled in place. So you're going to copy this, CO, and then you're going to say MV, and you're going to move it down to the edge, or the rim rather, of the pendant. And don't forget to delete the old rim that you don't need anymore, the one that you modeled in place. Cool. And always remember, always go back to your 3D view, always see how things are going to look, because your 3D view is very important to sort of guide you as to how this furniture piece of this element is going to look like in the actual space. Because my thinking is you're probably going to render this, or you're probably going to send this to a client, or you probably have it for a school review. You want it to look as close as possible to your design intent. Great. Now, as you can see, the top has no rim around it, and we're going to try to do that. So you could dimension the middle, the top opening, just see how much it is. Or you can just draw a diameter LI for the line tool, and that will sort of tell you how wide the space is. So we're going to go with 90. I think that should be good enough to cover the extent of the straw of this lamp. Cool. Keeping with the sweep tool, and we're gonna just draw a circle again. This should be 90 to mimic the distance of the top rim. And great, we're gonna click on the green tick, and then we're gonna go into 3D. And again, green dashed line, you're gonna draw your 3mm profile. Great, green tick, once that's done, should be okay. Always listen to your Revit prompts. If there's a notification that comes up, always read it, because it is always a guideline, so don't ever not read it. And then in order to move this across, remember what we said at the beginning, CO for copy, and then MV to move. Great, now we're just deleting any guidelines, and that would be the line tool, as we don't need it this time. Sorry. Great. I would say the only thing that we're actually missing is probably just the cord. So that's pretty much up to you. Some pendants do have a steel cord, which is very thick, probably about 6 mils. Or you could just have a string cord. It's really up to you. The purpose of this video is honestly just to show you guys that you can create more organic shapes with the spline tool in Revit. You don't necessarily have to take hours modeling this. And it really just gets your design intent through from the beginning. If you want to add a lighting fixture to it, please, you're more than welcome to do this. You can definitely load a lighting family into this and give it a spark if you're going to be rendering this in Revit. Great, so we're going to be making a cord, and I'm just going to show you guys just quickly. I'm using the spline tool. Ooh, this seems to be the arc tool. I don't really like the arc tool because it doesn't create a sinuous kind of look. The spline tool is more sinuous, and it gives you that cord-like free-flowing kind of look. So that's what we're going to use. And just to create more realism. Now you're going to go to the dashed green line again, and you're going to give it a width. More or less the same as the rim size, 3 or 4, really depending on how you want it to look at the end. Great, so we're going to keep it with 4. Also, again, guys, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. And please don't forget to comment down in the comment section below. I really love to hear guys' perspective and just how this channel is helping you. What more would you need for us to do just to, you know, get everyone up and ready and running in Revit for interiors. Great. I think we've got a really nice spline tool going here. I really like the curvature of it. I think it's very organic, you know, and it really matches our pendant. So I like to really put it in the middle. So you can probably go to your reference plane. You can look at what it looks like in front of you, but definitely go to your reference plane if you want, and you can sort of gauge where that sits, because the spline is curved and it might throw you off a bit. Great, and then you'll probably just see it there, and you just click on it. And you might need to CO to copy, or you can just move it, because I think we've already copied this one. So MV for move, try find the center. And yeah, it should look something like this. Again, guys, remember this is trial and error. You can always go back and like edit the family or whatever you need to do. That is always an option, especially since we've grouped everything and nothing is ungrouped. So if you do want to change sort of the shape of the pendant, you can change just one of the grouped elements, and that should change for everything. So don't be tied down to a specific profile, because that is always mendable. Great. And then we're just going to add some color to that. And voila, you guys, we have a rustic pendant in Revit. I'd really love to share this family with you guys. If you want to add the detail for hosting the light bulb, that's more than great. But thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye, guys.